Greetings. Welcome to In the Know, in the Grove. I'm Butch Fenema. I'm your host of In the Know, in the Grove. And as this is our first show, we've got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. We need to answer a couple of questions. First one is, what's the show about? Well, that's easy. The show's about city government, understanding city government, separating what does the city do, what does the county do, what does the state do, what's the federal government do. There are two purposes to the show, though. It's not just to inform you, it's also to get you up and moving, to challenge you, to get you engaged, get you involved. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. The second question, though, that needs to be asked, I'd be asking if I were out there, who are you and why are you the host of the show? Well, that's easy. A little bit of background. I'm Butch Fenema, as I mentioned. I'm simply one of the residents of Beech Grove. And a very good friend of mine, Marcia Dorsey, came to me one day a couple of years ago and said, Butch, would you work on the Centennial Committee? I said, sure. So that's really the first time I got involved with Beech Grove. I've lived in Beech Grove a long time, but I've never really been involved. So I worked with the Centennial Committee, and a wonderful experience. I met a lot of very wonderful people. I became introduced to a number of organizations that do wonderful things in our city. And through all that, the many people that I met, one of the people I met was Mayor Wright. And the mayor asked me one day towards the end of the Centennial work, would you be interested in hosting a television program? Well, much like you, I never really thought about me hosting a television program. That wasn't on my to-do list. But I said, what are you going to do a program about that you'd like me to do? And he said, we want to do a program about city government in Beech Grove. Go back to, and he said this, go back to your education. What you learn about is state government and federal government. That's what you study in school. But you don't study city government. And that affects you on a very daily basis. From trash pickup and sanitation to downtown revitalization to the Emerson Avenue project. All kinds of things that affect us daily. And he said, we don't study that. We don't know much about it. And I said, that's a great idea. I'd be happy to do a show about city government. That was the ask. I should also mention that he challenged me also. We were at a planning meeting. I probably shouldn't even call it a planning meeting because we weren't even far enough along the plan. We were still talking ideas. And the mayor looked at me at one point and asked me something about city government. And I said, you know, I really don't know that much about it. Things go well, they're taken care of in this city, and I'm not really engaged in. And he stopped me and said, you're the problem. Okay. He said, no, you're the problem. He said, that's the problem with city government. People need to be involved. You shouldn't wait until there's a problem or wait until you see something that needs to be fixed. You need to get involved at the very beginning. Kind of hit me back to those grade school lessons. You remember when we were all little kids and they said the government is the people. And that's no truer than when we talk about city government. So I got asked and I got challenged. And I said, okay, I'll do my part. I'll step up. So I'm your host for the show. Now, you'll find out real quickly, I'm not a TV personality. This is not a polished program in terms of me coming on and being this personality. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to bring people up on the stage, we're going to interview them, we're going to go out in the city, we're going to talk to people, we're going to talk to the people who provide you services, who make decisions. And along the way, again, I'm going to challenge you to become one of those involved people. So where do you start? Okay, program about city government. Do you start with the mayor? Do you start with the city council? Do you start with rules, regulations, taxes, things we think about? Well, we decided we're going to start with people because it's people that makes the city. And that's what we did. We started with people. We went out on the street, and I'll say we, Paul Buck, who is one of our technicians, a volunteer working from the high school, Tim Showalter, works at the community center, and I went down, took a camera downtown and set it up outside of a variety of locations. Set it up outside the cafe on Main Street, set it up in front of City Hall, set the camera up inside the library, inside the meat market, and we also attacked a few people on the street. We asked them 3 questions. First, what do you like about Beech Grove? Second question, if you could change anything, what would you change about Beech Grove? And the third question, if you were the mayor, what would you do? We got some interesting answers, and that's what we're going to start our first program with. What do the citizens think about Beech Grove? We're going to show you a clip of their responses to the questions. Our first clip is going to be about what they like about Beech Grove. And you'll see in there, we didn't put everything in, although all of you that got interviewed, sorry we couldn't fit it all in. It's only a half-hour show. But I think you'll get a good sampling of what people like about Beech Grove. What do you like about Beech Grove?
It's small and it's friendly.
I love the school system. The school system is wonderful. The community.
One thing that I think we enjoy having also is our police and fire department that come quickly when needed. That's important.
The park.
Okay.
And I like the fact that people here, they're very friendly. They're very kind-hearted. They're always willing to help each other. That's a very good thing about a small town.
I really love Beech Grove more than even like it. It's a great little slice of America. It has a flavor that you can't get maybe from the big city areas. We have a lot of traffic here. I actually live on the edge of Beech Grove, and we just went with a realtor the other day looking around to be in Beech Grove.
And living across the street from our neighbors. And I like coming to the library and reading books.
I love that it's a smaller town and you feel like you know a lot of people within the town, but it's not huge. You know, it's close to everything that you need.
Well, it's not too far from where I live. My children went to school in Beech Grove. They were born in Beech Grove. I've been in this area probably 28 years, and really everything I need is pretty much here. I go to breakfast down the street on Main Street. I go to the jewelry store. I go to the baker's. I go to the post office. It's just real convenient. It's like a little hometown for me.
They have a wonderful Hornets Park. It's at the community center. It's kind of their community center near the school, and they have kind of a they have kind of a workout area there that's really a best kept secret. They have kind of a personal trainer that will help people out, and you know, no contract assigned like other big areas, big gyms, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. They also have a pool available, you know, through the Benedictine Center, which is a wonderful center here in Beech Grove.
I think probably the biggest selling point for me is that it's a walkable community. You can walk to church, to the bank, grocery store, meat market. You have a lot of access to places that you need on a daily and weekly basis. So I think that's one of my favorite parts, but it's clean, it's friendly, it's safe, affordable. It's a great city. What's not to like?
Well, those were some of the things that your fellow citizens, or you, if you were one of the people we interviewed, had to say about what you like about Beech Grove. And obviously from the answers, both on and off camera, there are lots of things to like about Beech Grove. From the community center and the programs and the activities and the equipment that's available there, to the Benedict Inn, one of the hidden treasures that we have here, to the downtown Main Street, the library. One of the things I would mention is that a lot of people from out of town come to use the Beech Grove Library. To the shops on Main Street, to the restaurants on Main Street. There may not be a lot, but we like them. One of the things that's probably the biggest like about people, and they talked about it a lot off camera also, are the people. And the people are probably the best asset we have here in Beech Grove. When I first moved to Beech Grove, I learned about that. I did what most of you do when you move. You rent the big truck, you get a couple of friends and relatives. The relatives have to help. You get the truck packed up, you go to the new place, unload it, go back, get another load, and back and forth. On the first load, we're unloading the truck. I'm ready to walk out the front door to pick up more things to bring in. Here are two people walking in with my furniture who I've never met before in my life. They said, "Oh, hi, we're your neighbors." And they just kept on moving and helping me move in. That's my story. We all have them. All of the people we interviewed had lots of stories. But back to the point of it's not just the residents. Half the people we tried to interview said, oh, no, you can't interview me. I'm not from Beech Grove. They were willing to talk to us, but they didn't want to really be interviewed. There are people who lived in Beech Grove, who maybe raised their families here, and they still come back. They come back to shop, they come back to go to the library, they come back because they like Beech Grove. And they want to continue to do the things they grew up doing as a child maybe before they moved away, or they want their family to continue to be involved. So those were some of the things that we liked about Beech Grove. I should probably even mention that they come to shop in Beech Grove, which may surprise some of you. Many people came to shop in Beech Grove. They came to the Morning Glory Cafe to eat. They came to the meat market to shop. And I have to say, there was one person came to the meat market to shop who had to have passed, on the route she came in, several major grocery chains. Yet she drove right past them to come shop at the Beech Grove Meat Market. We have a lot of treasures. Okay, that's what we like. Now, the second question. What would you change? Anything you want, what would you change about Beech Grove?
Activities for children to do, the teenagers and things, like a movie house.
I think more business along Main Street.
I would change the park I would change the creek in the park into a swimming pool.
So there's some really rundown properties that I would want to hold the homeowners responsible for.
I would just like to see maybe a few more tourist type areas come through here. I mean, something that's going to bring something in, whether it's a water park. I know there's talks of that in the future. I think something like that will draw people into Beech Grove, not only into downtown, but into the surrounding areas to bring more to the businesses here.
I guess I'd like to see more people using those sidewalks. We're such an auto-driven society. It'd be nice to see more people out and about and using those access areas.
Kids playing on the bleachers and making a bunch of noise, and there's elderly people, you know, in that neighborhood. That's kids. You know, you can't confine kids. You take everything away from them, and all they got left is trouble. So
I would love to see even more businesses come here. A few of the smaller, like coffee shops and whatnot, have located here, but they needed more support from the people. We have some great business chains. I don't want to hurt anybody, and they're really nice on the outskirts, and they're all very good. But right here on Main Street, some of the people that want to locate here with a business should be able to and should gain the popularity. They should rather gain the support from the people here. It would be great, you know.
But they need the parents to get involved with being leaders. I don't think we have as many men leaders for teenage boys constructing. We need more of that.
Those were what your fellow citizens had to say about change. The interesting thing to me is that there were not a lot of major changes as much as people wanted more of what we already have, more of what makes the city good, more activities, more facilities, more activities for the youth in the community. I got an opportunity while we were interviewing people at the library during one of our breaks to talk to a group of young skateboarders who said, we need more skate park. They liked what was done when the skateboard park was moved to the park, became the Centennial Skateboard Park. They liked that, but they said, you know, there are only a couple of jumps and ramps, and, you know, if we could expand that. And pretty much all the comments, adults and youth alike, were similar, that we'd like more of what we have. Something that was very important, and it's going to tie into a lot of the theme of the show, was also involvement. Many of the citizens said one of the things we need is more involvement. We need more people doing things. We want more activities, but we also know we need more coaches, advisors, directors, people to make those activities work. They don't just happen. So the citizens are very aware that if we're going to make our city better, we have to be involved. And I'll throw that out as your first challenge. What involvement do you have? What involvement could you have? It doesn't take hours and a lifetime commitment. All it takes is a little bit of people doing things. I'm one of those you'll find over the course of the shows who like simple phrases. I used to wonder why somebody didn't do something. Then I realized I was somebody. You're somebody. Find what your involvement is. And now we're going to shift before we do that third question. What would you do if you were mayor? Through the magic of television, we have the mayor of Beech Grove with us. Welcome, Mayor, to the first In the Know in the Grove.
Well, Butch, it's great to be here. And wow, what an opportunity to get some information to the public. And just let me say this, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier in the show. You took a challenge, and it wasn't an easy or obvious challenge. Life was going by. You were part of life. Mm-hmm. We put you on the detour to Centennial Committee, and from that, I think it's just been a great experience to have a great community example of someone that says, I need to be involved. And I hope that after the end of this show, that involved is really what we can inspire people to become.
Well, and I'd pick up with that it's not just a need to be involved, it's a need to get people involved. And that's what we're going to look at with our third question, and which is why we brought you on. Our third question was, what would you do if you were the mayor of Beech Grove? And here's what some of the citizens had to say.
I would cut the taxes.
Cut the taxes.
Yeah.
I would go on a campaign blitz, or on a marketing blitz. We've got a wonderful secret here.
Now that's a tough question. I mean, you're pulled in different directions of what you want to do here, but I think, you know, they're heading in the right direction with what they're doing as far as changing some things, trying to, you know, revitalize downtown.
If I was mayor, I like the improvements with the sewer and everything that they're doing now, but you know, I would beautify it even more. I would put more flowers, more trees. I would just try to get the town more involved.
It's kind of silly, but I really hate how many flowering trees we have. I don't have nearly as serious allergies as my family, but I have a lot of trouble walking down some streets because of the trees.
I'd like to have them build a swimming pool.
If I was a mayor, I would show people in Beech Grove the reflection of how this place used to be 30 years ago.
I would work on, I don't know.
That's
I like it the way it is.
I think it would be neat if there was a tax for small businesses, or a tax credit for small businesses on Main Street. I think that would be very helpful for them if that's not something that the city's already doing.
I would not want the job to be mayor.
I'd probably pray that I wouldn't get reelected.
Oh, if I was the mayor, he's got a tough job. I got my own opinions. You know, taxes are one thing. You know, it's kind of a worry for some of us, but it's our community. You know, yeah, I'd like to see taxes lowered, but on the other hand, I mean, he's got a big shoe to fill, I'll say that. So.
Okay, and those were the things that several of the citizens had to say if they sat in that chair and they got to wear that microphone and got to be mayor. And there were several things that came to mind, and I also have the benefit of seeing things that they said before the interview or afterwards. But one of the first ones is, what are the choices that you have to make? As we talked early in the planning session, one of the things that you said is, well, you can't do, and I said, well, you know, my dad taught me you can have anything, but you can't have everything. And you got to make choices. Gee, it'd be nice to lower taxes, but you lose city services as you do that. So one of the things were choices that have to be made. What choices would you bring up? What choices would you say are important to the citizens?
Well, first and foremost, the job of the mayor, once you understand your first priority, then choices get easier.
Okay.
So where some people start out with, wow, I think some of our citizens said, I don't know, and I don't frankly want the job.
Actually, that was the most popular answer.
But you know, the choices get really easy when you realize what your number one job is, and that's to provide public safety. First and foremost, the mayor, the governor, the president of the United States have a responsibility to protect the citizens. And so the first choice is, what resources and what needs do the citizens have, or what resources do we have and what needs do we have, and matching those resources to needs, and then finding the leaders in the police and fire department and then engaging them in what their profession is. how do we best protect our citizens from threats from the outside, threats from the inside? And they live in a world, and I thank God every day that they are wired this way. I'm not. My job, as I see it clearly, is learn from them, listen to them, and help them facilitate the choices that they see for law enforcement, for fire protection, and then for emergency medical services. So once you, and I'll go one step further.
Go ahead.
Once you take those as your priority, then those choices become easier. And then there's another set of choices you have to make, and that is how you pay for the things that they need. And once you narrow the choices of how you're going to spend money, then everything gets a lot clearer. Those choices become clear.
Well, the second thing that comes up from our perspective of the interviews is that people don't know what your job is. A lot of people, as you saw, and we really thought about putting a whole clip together, and it would have looked like, what's the job of mayor? What would you do if you're a mayor? I don't know. And there was a lot of that people don't know what your job is. Just in terms of that, that's one of the, again, the themes of the show is to inform what the job of city government is. Starting with you, what is your job?
Well, it kind of relates back to the earlier part of the show. What we don't get education enough on in local schools and even in advanced education is local government. You hear all about state government, you hear all about federal government. But
and also globalization now. Let's go further away from city government.
Absolutely. You hear more about international issues and political matters, even as much as state and federal these days. But local government is the government that affects your life more than any other government. Yet we know the least about it. And it's been interesting to me, as being the mayor, that a lot of our citizens don't understand what my job is, what the job of the council is, and what the job of the committees, boards, and commissions, what their responsibilities are, and how they all fit together. Because there are a lot of checks and balances built into government, as you would expect. But my job is as the chief executive of the city and the utility. We got really three businesses that I see the city more like a business. You have the civil city, which provides all those things we talked about earlier: police, fire, streets, parks, community center, senior center, all those programs. And then you have the sewage works utility, which provides the sanitary needs of the city, the sewage disposal, cleaning of all the wastewater, the stormwater management, and then the solid waste or trash pickup. So you see the city as those two businesses, and I would be considered the chief executive of both of those businesses. And then they have boards, just like a company has a board, and then the city has the city council, which are the legislators.
Okay.
But my job is clearly to enforce the laws and to operate the day-to-day activities of the city. And the way I operate the city is through the direct appointments that I have, and that is the police chief, the fire chief, and the director of public works.
Okay. And right there, we've got enough material for probably 15 shows. We're going to take it in bite-sized chunks, a half hour at a time, because there is a lot there in terms of the interaction, the interplay that needs to be done. But kind of a third topic that I'd pull out of the interviews that we did, and that's the idea of involvement. And I would come back to that idea of involvement as you gave me a, what size do you wear? A little kick to say, Butch, you're sitting on the sideline, that it's not coming in late and cheerleading or coming in late and saying, gee, I don't like that, but it's being there at the beginning to say, what is it we're creating? How are we putting this together? And several of the people interviewed said, we need involvement. We need people involved from the beginning doing the kinds of things that take things, that make things work better for the city. What would your comment be, just as a simple one on involvement?
Well, involvement has such a broad range of opportunity for anyone who, first of all, says, I want to be involved. And I have heard that and heard that and heard that, and I appreciate every time I hear it. Because when someone says, I want to be involved, okay, we've got tons of opportunity for you to be involved, whether it's from youth sports, whether it's from helping at the senior center, the community center, whatever the case may be. There's lots of ways to get involved, but the first level of involvement that I would like to indicate or mention to people is that there's a lot of governance that takes place in our city by citizen volunteers. Now, I'm elected and the city council and the clerk treasurer are elected. But that's probably collectively the smallest number of people that are involved in city government. And I'm not talking about employees. I'm talking about people who serve on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Those are citizen volunteers. Those are people who aren't elected. They're appointed by elected officials. There's involvement on the Redevelopment Commission. That's 5 citizen volunteers that were appointed by elected officials to serve and to lead all of the activities. One is very prominent here, Emerson Avenue. That is the first visible project that the Redevelopment Commission has brought to life. And it's through their involvement, 5 citizen volunteers who said, I want to be involved. I said, I got a place for you. And so they're involved. We have public safety committees of citizen volunteers, a combination of the police chief, the fire chief, and some citizen volunteers and a council person, a board member. We bring these groups together to be involved and focused on certain things that affect our community. If you don't want to be involved in government, there's a lot of other places to be involved, and that is, as I said, in your neighborhood. Be involved in your neighborhood. We just graduated 17 citizens from a Citizens Police Academy. There's 17
My neighbor was one of them.
There's 17 people out there now who want to be involved. And they want to be involved in such a great way that they're going to help our law enforcement fight crime. They're going to be eyes and ears in their neighborhoods to set up neighborhood watch programs, neighborhood groups and efforts to help fight crime and to be early warning indicators for our police. You know, police sometimes only get involved when bad things have happened. But citizens can be involved by helping us avoid bad things from happening. And that's how you tend to get proactive. So citizen involvement from a police academy standpoint, being involved in that, and then being involved in your neighborhood. Just helping your neighbor sometimes is a great level of involvement.
And I think one of the things you said there is really critical, the idea of early involvement, the idea of being proactive as you look at those kinds of things. And that's going to be, again, one of the themes for the show coming up also is involvement, that challenge, getting up, getting involved, doing more than you are, getting other people to do more. That's going to be one of our keys. Now, we're going to run down on time on this, so we're going to have to wrap this up. It's kind of nice, the end of the first show of In the Know in the Grove. I'd like to say thank you to Mayor Wright for coming on and visiting with us on our first show.
For being involved. You've done a great job, and I really enjoy the opportunity we're going to have together.
Well, and we'll be working together. We'll be asking the mayor. We'll be asking a number of other people to come on for future shows. I'd like to thank you out there on the other side of the television for watching the show, for taking the time, a first step towards involvement. For those of you who have ideas, we'd like you to send them to us, either call or email. You can call 788-4984. Leave comments about the show, suggestions for the show. You can go online and send email comments to bgtv@beechgrove.com. It's bgtv@beechgrove.com. And I would also say for those of you who want your neighbors to watch and they're not sure when the times of the show are, they can go online to watch the show, beechgrove.com/BGTV. beechgrove.com/BGTV. So, your call to action. Want you to get up and do something also. Many of the things the mayor said we're going to be picking up on future shows, we're going to be working with. We'd like to know what you want us to focus on because, again, it's not our show, it's your show. That's the only way that you will be in the know, in the Grove.